Today I have Javier from Outlast on Netflix with me. I have the great privilege of speaking to him, so I wanted to thank him for coming and talking to me today. And I just gathered some questions that I found on the internet that I wanted to ask him and some questions of my own. So I wanted to start how did you cast on the show? Like what was that like for you?
So I think I'm like many other people at night. I just scroll through Instagram, and this advertisement popped up, and it said something like, "Do you have what it takes to outlast people in Alaska?" And I thought, well, let me see how the application process is.
Mhm.
And it said submit a short video clip.
Mhm.
So I thought, okay, I'll do that. And I literally submitted a 40-second video clip. And I
Really?
posted that on the Outlast Netflix fan page on Instagram. 47 seconds. I basically just said my name. I live in a camper. And when I don't live in the camper, I travel the world on a bicycle. And if you want a guy with a lot of stories and a lot of experience, pick me. That's all I did.
Oh wow. Wow.
And the next morning, I got a call at 10 in the morning, and I thought it was a scammer. And the woman says, "Hello, is this Javier?" And I go, "Yeah, what are you selling?" And she goes, "No, I'm calling about your video." And then it started from there.
Mhm.
It was just this 4 months of lots of interviews with different people.
Mhm.
And I ended up in Alaska on this show. It was
Oh
really
wow.
odd.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have answered that call. I would have let it go to voicemail myself. So how did you prepare when you went out there? Like, what did you do? You.
So I travel a lot, and I don't know if your followers have seen my Instagram,
I
but
do now. So I.
I travel a lot. So I will work for maybe 6 months, and I just work, work, work. I don't go out. Um, I don't waste money on anything, and then I take my budget and I go somewhere. So I work as a glorified handyman in San Francisco
Okay.
Bay Area, and so my client base is pretty word of mouth. So my
Mhm.
clients are unique that they only want me in their house. So
Okay.
I'll go and I'll do a specialized job, a lot of painting, a lot of remodeling, interior work, and then I could save up everything because I the way I live, I have no
Mhm.
bills. So I have solar
Wow.
panels. I don't have rent. I
Wow.
park my vehicle on a friend's lot. And really, I have zero bills. My only bills are gasoline and food.
That's
So
cool.
then I can go somewhere and just travel and do an intense trip on my bicycle. So I'm always kind of prepared to just leave. So the gear, I had all the gear for Alaska. I didn't
Mhm.
have to go out, and I did buy new boots because Alaska's pretty wet. So I got
Oh yeah.
extra toughs that are really, really tall and waterproof. Apart from that, I knew that Alaska's going to be cold. So I just got fat. I gained over 30 pounds
Wow.
to get out there so I could be a big polar bear because I knew I would lose it. And in 21 days I was on the show, I actually lost 40 pounds.
Wow. 40. That's a lot. That's a lot. Um.
Yeah.
So that leads in my next question. What supplies did you have out there? Did they give you stuff, or was it all brought by yourself?
No, so we were limited to pretty much the clothes on our back. I think we had one pair of boots, two pairs of socks, two pairs of I think underwear, um, one pair of long johns, and long underwear, thermal underwear, one pair of pants, one waterproof layer, so
Mhm.
the pants and coat, one inner warm layer, I believe one hat, one pair of gloves, and I believe two t-shirts.
Okay.
So I think that's it. So we pretty much walked in to the first drop,
Mhm.
and that first drop had backpacks with
Okay.
some essential gear. One
Oh.
of which was like a hatchet and a knife and a fire starter, emergency kit, one wool blanket,
Okay.
um, and a tarp, one tarp,
Okay.
and some string and twine and stuff.
Okay. So yeah, because that's what I was curious about. Because on a loan, you have 10 items that you can bring in yourself, like the hatchet and the knife and everything. But they actually gave it to you. So that's pretty interesting. So everyone had like the same kit other than like the clothes that you brought in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think they did that. Just speaking from experience, I would have come with a much better knife, with a much
No,
better
okay.
hatchet.
Yeah.
So, because the others potentially would come in with different quality gear, they didn't want to make an unfair advantage. Because I would have definitely had the best axe available, the best knife available,
Oh yeah.
and that would have made things a lot easier.
Yeah. So you said on the YouTube comment that you chopped down 27 trees to
Yeah,
build your shelter, and I'm sure that that better hatchet would have helped with that too, because
yeah,
you had like a cabin out there. But then I saw in another interview you said that they told you to stop cutting down trees because you,
yeah,
I guess, cut down too many or something, or like there's like a
yeah.
limit.
So we were in a national forest, and we had to abide by many rules. Um, One thing you don't see is we weren't allowed to dig a hole and and use it as an outhouse
Oh,
because
really?
we were too close to fresh water. So we
Wow.
actually had to we had like a honey bucket. So we not a the
Hmm.
type that you go to on a construction site. We just had a little Home Depot bucket with a trash bag in it.
Jeez.
So we had that little thing, and we shat in the woods in that just
Uh,
to protect the national forest and
okay.
also to prevent any contamination with any local water because the rainforest water was going all downstream.
Oh yeah.
And so and we did get on the second drop something better than the hatchet, which is a Swedish saw. It's
Okay.
just a chain with two leather handles. So your arms become basically the handles, and
Mm-hmm.
then you could saw. So that made cutting wood easier. So I was
Okay.
able to take down trees with this Swedish saw,
Uh,
and then Brian would hack them up with the hatchet to make them fit.
yeah. Um, that's very interesting. I'm sure that like used a lot of calories. I'm sure though, and
Yeah,
going into that.
yeah.
Um, so you also said about Brian that we didn't really see like how like Paul and Jill like mentally like mess with his head. You said something like they mess with his head or something, and we didn't get to see that.
Yeah, so they did meet once and they chatted,
Mm-hmm.
and this was shortly after um, the theft of the sleeping bags. And so we knew what they told us what they were going to do, and we didn't like it. I
Mm.
think that's in the scene on the beach there. They told us about going over there and robbing them, and me and Brian totally didn't like that. We really didn't feel good. Then the next thing we know is we heard news that I saw what happened on the riverfront, and um, and then Brian was away from me, and he met Jill and Paul, and
Oh.
then that's when they actually found out that's when Brian found out that the sleeping bags were stolen, and
Oh. Okay.
it
So
kind
he didn't
he
know
kind of
about
got
that, but.
no, we knew it might happen, but we
Mhm,
didn't. He didn't know it actually
mhm.
happened because we were in two different locations,
Okay.
and I was witnessing
Mhm.
what actually was occurring,
Yeah,
and he was someplace else.
cause you saw them go across the I guess it's a river or whatever you got right there,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
actually steal it. Cause
yeah.
yeah, you witnessed that. So the other thing is, Jill has said on her Instagram that the sleeping bags were a comfort item, and you didn't get them till like a while later, and that's why it was okay to steal it, is what she said.
Yeah, she's trying to rationalize a lot of things, but we didn't get the sleeping bags until the fourth day.
Okay,
And that was the second drop,
fourth day.
and obviously, it was so cold that I lost two teammates.
Yeah, yeah.
They left on the second night because
Wow.
it was just too cold for them. But you got to imagine that those sleeping bags were stolen 2 weeks after we were out there,
Yeah.
so it got much colder. So
Hmm.
that those first 4 days that we didn't have sleeping bags was very cold, but it was manageable.
Hmm.
You could huddle and hold each
Hmm.
other and keep warm. 2 weeks later, we started to get frost. It
Hmm.
started to snow in the mountains.
Yeah.
It got much, much colder. So it was definitely not a comfort item. It was a necessity at that point.
See, now she's trying to make it seem like that it wasn't necessary at all is the thing that she's been trying to say about it, and trying to justify it and everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it does because Delta, they were using rocks to heat themselves, so I was pretty sure that it was necessary, so they wouldn't get hypothermic and sick and everything. So
Yeah, Delta, Joel and Dawn had 3 sleepless nights out there.
that's yeah,
3 sleepless nights.
that's
So they
awful.
just basically kept the fire going and just stayed awake and were dozing off.
Yeah.
The strength that they had is remarkable
Hmm.
because, and really truly the patience because uh, I think I was a patient man, but they didn't actually steal my personal things. I
Hmm.
prevented it. But had they, I don't know. I don't know how I would have reacted because that would have really been just taking it to another level.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so Jill and Amber have said that they got a quote unquote bad edit on the show. They said there was 5,000 hours of footage in 36 days. You didn't get to see the good parts of our adventure. You only got to see the bad stuff because we got a bad edit, is what they said. So, what are your thoughts on that?
You know, I think the edit it makes them look better than they truly are.
Really, really.
Yeah. Because there's things that are not in there that they said, and there's things that they did
Ooh,
that are even more terrible than what you've seen on the show.
jeez.
So, you know, they they just love to deflect.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really, and I've never seen this level of deflection. It's just so it's 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 sad,
Hmm.
really, but it's almost comical how
Hmm.
they could think that anybody would believe that the camera didn't capture their true nature.
Yeah.
Because, like I said on the show, they came there with that in them.
Hmm.
Alaska didn't make them into that. The
Yeah.
situation didn't make them into that. Um, and they keep saying that it was only a game. Nobody was
Hmm.
truly in danger.
Hmm.
Really? Then you can't use as an excuse saying that you were hungry and desperate, and that's why you did some
Yeah,
crazy things. That's like a
exactly.
huge contradiction.
Yeah, yeah.
Either it
There's
was a game, or either you were in a desperate situation and you weren't thinking straight. So
yeah,
what's it gonna be,
yeah.
ladies?
There's no. They haven't apologized or anything. I think they kind of owe the cast
Never.
an apology. Like honestly, like
I believe so too. And
yeah,
they have blocked me. They have not
they
communicated with
blocked
me.
you. I didn't know
Yeah,
that. Dang,
yeah. They uh
that's
they have not
horrible.
reached out.
Dang.
Uh Joel is he's such a kind person.
Mm.
He's willing to say I forgive them and
Hmm.
everything.
Yeah, I've
But
I've
no,
seen that. Yeah,
yeah,
he's a
I
good
I
guy.
don't. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but unless you actually take responsibility for your
Mm.
actions and what you did out
Yeah.
there, then I'm
Yeah.
not going to say that
Yeah.
I forgive you for
Yeah.
anything.
If they like came out and said they were sorry and like talked to you and stuff, would you forgive them in that case? Like, or is it
Well,
too much of a
no, no.
hurdle?
I think we could have a adult conversation
Hmm.
and do that. But honestly, I don't think they're ever going to get to that point.
That's
They
sad.
got some
That's
deep
sad.
soul searching to do.
Hmm. Yeah, I think so too. But I know they gotten a lot of backlash on the internet, and I think it's a lot of it is that they're not taking accountability for anything
Yeah.
they did and deflecting, like you said.
Yeah,
So.
the world can see it. So,
Hmm.
I mean,
Hmm.
if it was just like a few dozen people, then you could go, oh, it's just a opinion. But
Hmm.
this is literally hundreds of thousands of
Oh yeah,
people
yeah. The
saying that this is
like
not right.
I've seen it on my YouTube comments. I've seen it on Reddit. I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen it everywhere. So I'm sure
Yeah.
that they've turned off all their comments and stuff. They only allow the positive ones. So, um,
Yeah.
so I just wanted to make a comparison real quick to a show that was on MTV called Stranded with $1 million, and in that show they also kind of like was survival esque, but with $4 million. And one of the contestants pooped in the communal water supply to try to get the other people sick so that they would quit.
Oh
Do you
my
think
God.
that Alpha would have gone that far? Like, do you think that
Wow.
they, yeah, because that's pretty bad, right? I don't know if it was
That
that
gave me
level.
goosebumps. When you said that I got goosebumps all over.
Yeah, that show got
Um,
canceled because of that. So,
oh my God.
yeah.
So I knowing how they were and
Uh-huh.
experiencing it. And I think you could see the Justin left because
Mm-hmm.
Justin
Yeah.
started to realize that this was absolutely
Mm-hmm.
off the charts crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
but they were spiraling out of
No,
control.
yeah.
And I also think that I've heard that Jill, she didn't poop for 3 weeks. So
What?
she was very close to having some physical
Wow.
problems because Angie didn't poop for 24 days.
Yeah, she got
And
pulled.
Angie had to
Yeah.
go. So I
Yeah.
compared this on Reddit a couple times is people, a couple people said, ah, it's a game, nobody was really in danger.
Mm-hmm.
But do you know those DJ competitions to like win a car or something? And
Oh, yeah.
they have these crazy
Oh,
ideas.
like the hands
One of
on it,
them,
right?
yeah. So one of them was you had to constantly drink
Oh.
water, and the person who drank water without peeing won the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that happened in California some years ago, and the girl who won, she won the car. She died because she drank so much water that she got water poisoning,
Jeez.
and uh, and she died a few hours later. So the station was sued and
Mm-hmm.
everything. But with people, when they're competing for money,
Mm-hmm.
they will do absolutely crazy things. They'll kill
Mm-hmm.
themselves.
Yeah,
And
they'll do
so
anything. Yeah.
absolutely. Their will to win this money, just some money, it will drive them to do absolutely
Mm-hmm.
crazy things and overcome some crazy pain. And Angie not pooping for
Mm-hmm.
24 days. Oh my God. That
Yeah.
could have seriously hurt her insides.
Mm-hmm.
She could have ruptured her intestines. And then Jill not pooping for 3 weeks, so
Mm.
I'm told. So she was literally full of shit. And I
In
swear,
two ways. In two ways.
in 2 ways. So I swear, she wouldn't. I wouldn't put it past her not to do something absolutely extreme to
Oh
try to win.
man. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean that show got like a lot of controversy as well, and it's not on any. You can't like stream it on anything. You have to. The only way you can do it is you have to buy it. Like you can
Oh
buy it on
wow.
YouTube. Like you have to pay like $20 or whatever. But it's not anywhere to stream because of like the controversy behind it. And then
Wow.
people had to carry the money with them the whole time, and the other people got upset and started burning the money and stuff. So
Oh
it
shit.
got like really bad. But so the next thing, a lot of people are saying online that the show is scripted. Like you can't talk about it seriously because it's all scripted. It's all fake. You know?
No, I'm no actor, man.
Yeah.
I just and I do know that stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
one thing that some people don't know is, so I was in AmeriCorps Vista. That's a volunteer in service to America, and I was positioned in or stationed in Ketchikan, Alaska.
Okay.
So I worked with a youth group there, and I also worked with a native young adult
That's
men's
cool.
group. So I worked with Saxman men,
Mm-hmm.
those are native Alaskans, and they taught me a lot. They taught me a lot of indigenous things. So I knew how to identify mushrooms and to
Wow.
uh, identify some plants and make teas. I also knew a lot of um, uh, uh, native stories of like how the raven made released the moon in the sun, and I told those on the show. You don't get to see a lot of that.
Yeah.
So when
Yeah.
people say something like, "Oh, how'd you know so much?" and some people called me a know-it-all. Well, you
Mm.
know what? I was taught by some Saxman young men in I learned my native history, and it was wonderful. And I appreciated Alaska. I truly loved it. Um, when I every time I did something or took something off of a tree for wood or took some mushrooms, I would say "gunaktish," which is thank you in Tlingit.
That's
So
cool.
I said that a lot, and I spoke to Mother Nature, and that was like maybe a little bit
Oh.
super hippie to show. Oh, you're not recording it?
Well, sorry. It says that we have 10 minutes, so I don't know what's will happen after that.
Oh, well, let's try it. Keep going.
Okay, sorry. It just popped up on
So,
my screen, so.
okay. So so basically uh we there was a lot of beautiful things that they couldn't show on the show, but that was because of what occurred,
Hmm.
and how kind of Alpha Team hijacked
Hmm.
the survival show. But we aren't actors. It was all
Hmm.
raw. It was all real. Um, and it's unfortunate that the audience couldn't see that.
Yeah, there's just a lot of people that assume things about stuff like that and say like, that it was all fake and that no one actually caught like the crab stuff out there with the crab traps because they were too big and stuff like that. So,
Now the crab traps, they really became a pain in the
really,
ass. Yeah, the first experience was interesting and exciting, but then when you after you do it and you realize how much effort and
mm,
work it takes to actually do that, we did it. I tried it a couple more times and it was unsuccessful
mm,
because I just said this is wasting too much time. I had to hike 2 miles down the river, the raft, and trying to get the raft back.
mm.
Just you don't see all that,
Mhm.
so that's why that was abandoned. Um,
Oh, okay.
and also, of course, all the crabs were of legal size because the game wardens are there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're out there trying to
Oh
survive,
yeah, they check
but
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
they check stuff. We couldn't do anything illegal. We couldn't hunt any animals that were illegal to hunt. So they were checking, making sure. They're the ones who told me to stop cutting trees. So we had to abide
Mm-hmm.
by Alaska law and federal law,
Mm-hmm.
despite what Jill may think.
Oh, that part made me laugh so hard. She's like, "Hey, there's no rules. We're in Alaska," and you're like, "We're still in the United States." She's like, "No, we're in Alaska." It's like, does she not know that Alaska is part of the U.S.?
Yeah.
Yeah. So after they came in and like sabotage your camp and try to steal stuff and everything, and then you basically, try to join up with Charlie and they would accept you, and then you burned your camp down, and then it disgusted me when Jill came up and she said that, man, I hope we get lucky and Javier's in there burning with it. I was just shocked. I was like, why would she say that? Like it didn't sound like she was joking. Like she was like saying it in like a meanful way, like a mean way. Like she sounded like a high school bully, pretty much. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So you didn't know about that, I'm sure, until you saw it on TV. Like, what was your reaction to that?
Oh, it's right in line with her character.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I wouldn't have expected anything less.
Mm-hmm.
It seems just right in line with what she did. Um, and if I think had the cameras not been on, she probably would have thrown in a few more choice words.
Oh yeah, I'm sure she would.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you're like the fan favorite, and so what has like the fan reaction been to you? Like, do you get recognized when you go out places now, or anything like that?
I've been recognized once, so I've only
Really?
been in the U.S. for 1 week now.
Okay.
So I went and I was in my truck and we went to HEB, which is a grocery store in Texas.
I was just in
And
Texas, so
oh, so
yeah.
I love HEB.
Hmm.
They make great, they have great food.
Hmm.
So I said, let's not go to a restaurant. My brother ran in to get some sandwiches, and as he was coming out, a guy goes, Javier, and he points at me, and I'm in my truck, and I
Yeah.
look behind me like, is he talking to somebody else? And he comes up and says, "You're from Outlast." And his wife comes up and they said, "We just saw you. Oh man, it's so good to see you. We wanted to kick Joe and Amber's ass." And I said, "I think everybody does."
Yeah.
And they congratulated me, and that was cool. That was the only ones who recognized me so far. And yeah, I overwhelming. I don't have any haters. Overwhelming.
Yeah.
Everybody has written me positive, and it's amazing. The most emotional ones are when the kids write. Oh,
Oh
there's
yeah.
that because that makes you really kind of tear up. And a kid wrote me from India, and he was
Oh
14,
wow.
and he just thanked me for inspiring him that there is people do have morals and values and aren't so evil, because growing up I've seen other things, and it really makes me doubt where we're going to be in the future. Some things like that. I've seen many messages like that, and even from parents saying that their kids love me, and that I was a good role model, and that's great. I love it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah, I'm one of those fans. So, I there's been so many comments when you comment on my YouTube videos, like 300 replies underneath your one comment. I was like, man, these people just love this guy. I mean, but you were like the voice of like integrity on the show. So, yeah, and when you left, like I like turned off the show for like a day. I was like, I had no one to root for anymore, and then I turned it on just to see who won, and I was happy at least that the Demon Squad, as you say, lost. So I know that
Yeah.
Charlie wasn't like like, you know, beloved by everybody, but I'm at least glad that they won over the other group anyway. So, what are
Yeah,
your thoughts on that? I mean, like were you
well,
happy at least they lost?
I'm definitely happy they lost.
Uh-huh.
I'm really happy that. Um, I was very surprised when I saw the show
Hmm.
that the people who supported me, because I don't know if you saw it, but when I approached them, Charlie,
Hmm.
um, Paul, Angie, and Seth are standing, and Nick was sitting down, and he didn't stand up. So I thought, I don't think Nick likes me.
No.
So just because he was sitting down,
Hmm.
and when I shook his hand, he stayed seated, and I thought, oh, this guy really doesn't like me. It turns out the guy with the big smile standing didn't like me, Paul.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that was
he tried to join it with Jill. I'm like
that was so confusing because I'm like, first, I don't know any of those guys.
hmm.
I never talked to Nick, Paul, Angie.
Oh, okay.
I briefly talked to Paul, I think in the airport when we all landed. We briefly exchanged, and
That's it.
Paul just told me that he was a huge reality TV
Hmm.
fan. So he said, I've watched every reality TV show and Survivor show, and I
Hmm.
love Alone.
Hmm.
I've never seen any reality TV.
I, I like Survivor, and I started watching Alone because of this show. Honestly, to see because you know, I wish they would have showed like more of like you guys surviving out there in the bushcrafting and like the foraging and all that stuff. But unfortunately, because of like what happened around episode 4, it just became like drama. Um, do you ever think that you will get like a reunion episode or something like that? Like, do you ever?
I'm open for
Uh
it.
huh.
The thing is, so I'm talking with Brian, and but I'm gonna go see Joel. So I'm in Ohio right now, and
Okay.
I'm gonna go out west. So after Easter, I'm gonna go pass by and meet up with Joel,
That's cool.
and then Dawn invited me to her ranch. She's got
That's
like
neat.
big cows and stuff with
Huh.
huge horns.
Uh-huh.
I want to go see those huge
Uh-huh.
longhorn cows. So I may go see Dawn as well. But me and Brian are talking because, I ride my bike around the world,
Hmm.
and Brian's kind of interested. He's like,
Hmm.
hey, can you take me on a bike trip? So I think I may be taking Brian on a bike trip.
That's
We'll
cool.
see if we
That's
we
cool.
can't do a show about it. We'll see if
Mhm.
we can. If
That
anything,
would be
throw up
awesome.
some YouTube
That'd be
videos.
awesome. Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
have like a standard bike, or do you use like an e-bike, or what do you
Oh
use?
no, I use a touring bike,
Okay.
a heavy big touring bike. It's
Mm.
slightly bigger than a city bike,
Okay.
and yeah, and I don't carry anything on my back. I carry bags called panniers on the
Hmm.
bike,
Hmm.
and I typically carry four because depending on how far I go, I have to carry food, water, resources, and tools, and then I head off into the wilderness, and I don't come back for a long time.
Do you think that things would have been different if Jill and Amber were on like separate camps?
Oh, I haven't had that thought before.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, for one, I don't think Jill could have gotten away with many of the things that she did
Hmm.
with the other people. Imagine, Angie had that little issue with the raft with Nick.
Hmm.
Imagine if that was Jill.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It wouldn't have been as nice
Oh,
as it
not at
was.
all. I don't know what would have happened.
Yeah, and also, if you look at um, Dawn and Joel, if she would have if Jill would have reacted as outrageous as she did with her own camp with them, they wouldn't have tolerated that either.
Hmm.
And then my camp, there's no way at all that
That
we
would
would
have.
have tolerated that,
Hmm.
Brian. So really, her only chance was to bully her way to leadership
Hmm.
position in her little group, and Amber was her minion,
Yeah,
really.
she just did whatever she said to do,
Yeah,
basically. And then Justin got like roped into it as well. I don't think he would have done that if he wasn't influenced, but I don't know. I
I
mean,
don't believe I've talked to Justin a bit, and he's a good guy.
yeah.
I don't believe he would have went as far.
Hmm.
I don't agree with what he did with the sleeping bags.
Yeah.
Um, but he's not like those two ladies.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely not. He's
Mm-hmm.
a little bit different.
So one of the other things I wanted to talk about, I was listening to Rob Has a podcast. He covered the show, and if you don't know him, he does like a bunch of like reality shows and stuff like that. Pretty popular podcaster, and they discussed about in like a potential Outlast season 2. Would they? Do you think they would allow like stealing and sabotage, or would they have to say, um, you can't do that now, and because they would have to cast people that would be willing to do that if they kept it the way that it is right now.
Yeah.
I'm just like, because like, where do you go from here is mainly the question I'm asking. So.
I I've said this in another interview, and I really believe that three things need to happen.
Hmm.
Um, if you truly want survivors on this show,
Hmm.
survivalist, I think eliminate the cash prize. Um,
Yeah.
I would have done this just for the a cookie,
Hmm.
that championship cookie. Uh, it doesn't mean anything at all. The challenge is between us and nature,
Hmm.
and only the show is beautiful in that it gives an opportunity to to the average Joe survivalist to do this type of
Hmm.
competition, because normally only the elite wealthy explorers can go and climb a mountain and go and do
Oh
some
yeah.
wilderness adventure.
Hmm.
So me being part of this event, Outlast,
Hmm.
was incredible. They flew me to Alaska.
Hmm.
We took a float plane out there, and then a private boat to this
Hmm.
little remote area.
Uh-huh.
That's a big chunk of change
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So I loved every minute of
Mhm.
it. And if
That's cool.
if you gave a
Mhm.
survivalist that opportunity, they would love it and they
Mhm.
wouldn't care about the money.
Yeah.
The second thing is I think you definitely need
Mhm.
core rules, and one
Mhm.
rule saying you cannot interfere with another camp. You cannot
Yeah.
ransack it, rob it.
Uh-huh.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
So that should be just written in stone.
Yeah. Yeah. If
And then,
they. Oh, sorry.
yep.
Sorry. Yeah. So
Oh,
if they
and
like. Oh.
go ahead. Good.
Okay. If they spaced them further apart,
Yes.
and didn't allow you to like talk to the other people at all, other than maybe if you
Yeah.
got, I don't know, because they had that rule where you had to be a part of like a group, otherwise you were
Yeah.
gone, right?
Yeah.
If they made it so like you just couldn't be with the other groups at all, and then I think that would solve a lot of the issues pretty much. So.
Yeah. That would.
Mm.
So the third rule that I think is necessary, and I think people would enjoy it,
Mhm.
is I think they have to have kind of the a referee or a peacekeeper,
Oh yeah.
like somebody who could come in any competition,
Mhm.
whether it's basketball, football,
Mhm.
soccer, baseball. Three strikes, you're out.
Mhm.
You know, they have in soccer they give you the
Mhm.
flags. So if somebody's doing something that is unethical, immoral, or
Mhm.
just plain out illegal, you get a flag,
Mhm.
and so your team gets a flag, or the person gets a flag.
Mhm.
And then if they get another flag, that's a warning, the last
Mhm.
warning. And then, of course, the third one, and you're out. Red flag, and you're out.
Mhm.
So if you add that dynamic to the competition, you're going to get ethical behavior. You're going
Mhm.
to get really passionate people who have a desire to actually be there and outcompete and outskill other people. And it's going to be a thrilling and interesting competition, because then at the people devising really getting creative. Humans, when put in difficult situations, can get extremely creative.
Mhm.
Only the monkeys resort to stealing and beating each other up.
Yeah.
But what separates us from the monkeys
Mhm.
is our ability to actually get creative
Mhm.
and overcome our challenges
Mhm.
with our minds, not with
Mhm.
our fists.
Yeah, and we have like empathy for others as well. So there's also that
Yeah,
as well. But you're nominated for me for referee for season 2.
I would love to. I would
Yeah,
totally
you
take
can be
that
out there
position.
handing out flags. Hey, don't do that. Here you go. Here's a flag.
I can already envision it. I'm going to get like a Lord of the Rings robe, and I'll grow my
Oh,
beard really
there you
long,
go.
and then I'll have the long staff, and say, "You cannot do that."
And then you try to go to another camp, you shall not pass.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly.
So so overall, would you, with everything that went on, would you consider this a survival show, considering what happened and everything, or is it more of a drama show? Like for people, if you're gonna recommend it to someone, what are you gonna say? Like,
Yeah, I would say it's a social experiment in a survival setting.
mm-hmm,
Really,
yeah,
is we were the first. So you take a bunch of people and you throw them in the woods, and you promise them money if they
mm-hmm,
finish. See what happens.
mm-hmm,
So it was definitely felt like a social experiment,
mm-hmm,
and it started to feel like that after a week when I
mm-hmm,
started to realize what was taking place
mm-hmm.
outside of our camp.
Yeah. I mean, it's just unfortunate that it went down that way, because I know you would have been out there for as long as possible. I know. Like, how many days do you think you could have gone? Like, do you think? Like,
Well, I think being alone is would have actually made it easier,
mm-hmm.
of course, because you don't deal with all
Mm-hmm.
that human drama.
Yeah.
Um, One thing that you don't really see in the show is I'm a big advocate for communication.
Okay.
So in a survival setting, you really have to communicate with your partners to know how they're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people don't talk, and that could be the downfall of the team.
Mm.
If somebody has a pain, like Angie was constipated,
Yeah.
if she doesn't tell you that she's not pooping, and it's been 3 or 4 days, you guys have to do something about it
Mm-hmm.
before it becomes serious.
Mm-hmm.
So I was constantly asking if
Mm-hmm.
Brian drank enough water, if Brian was dizzy, if Brian was hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And you ask what color is your pee? I
Mm-hmm.
posted on the
Yeah.
I posted on the page, uh, the fan page.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had a pee situation. After a
Oh.
week, my pee, because I don't know if you know this, but I don't leave the tent
Mm-hmm.
when I at night. I don't leave the tent to pee. I
Okay.
had a pee bottle,
Oh.
so I would pee in a bottle and then I'd hold it for
Mm-hmm.
warmth because it'd stay warm for about
Mm.
40 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'd put it aside. But that's just a kind of a survival
Mm-hmm.
trick that I learned on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I never leave my tent. I pee in a bottle. So I was peeing in a bottle. My teammates were a little bit weirded out by that. They're like, "Oh my God." And I
Uh-huh.
said, "Guys, I'm not getting out of this blanket. I'm
Mm-hmm.
keeping the heat in.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you guys leave, it gets so cold."
Mm.
And then after a week, I started noticing the color of my pee. It
Oh.
was like a grapefruit, like a ruby red grapefruit
Ooh.
juice color.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
I smelled it and it smelled sweet. And I went,
Mm.
okay, this is strange. So I had to had to give the pee to the medical staff to check
Mm-hmm.
it out. So what was happening was my body was switching over to using muscle tissue for energy.
No.
So when it breaks down muscle tissue, it starts to do some crazy things with your
Mm-hmm.
urine. So they told me, you got to drink a lot more water and make this pee clear. And if it's not clear in
Mm-hmm.
2 days, we got to take you out for
Ooh.
medical reasons.
Yeah.
So I started pounding water to pee clear.
Mm-hmm.
And I did pee clear and everything was good. But it just goes to show you that if I didn't say anything to anybody,
Mm-hmm.
if I didn't communicate with the doctors, if I didn't hold my pee in a pee jar, I wouldn't have known or realized that I was in a serious problem, and I could have had kidney problems,
Ooh.
serious kidney problems, or I could have ended up having some internal problems.
Wow.
So, doing little things like that, communication is critical and really important.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big advocate for that in a team setting, and I think the future of these competitions are going to be interesting because being alone is slightly easier,
Mm-hmm.
I think, but being in a team will have these challenges
Mm-hmm.
that come up, and we're going to see them how they play out, and we're really going to see how people overcome. If you take a lone wolf and you put them together, how will they overcome the challenge of human interaction? Because for me, that was going to be tough. And you could see in the beginning, I was having some difficulty communicating because
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
was expecting the guys to maybe just be in their element. I thought
Mm-hmm.
the guys would just say, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized slowly that maybe these guys don't know so much as I thought that they would coming into this
Yeah.
competition.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't remember the two that quit on the first day because they're so short. I know
Yeah,
I mean, what were their names? What were their names again?
Timothy and Corey.
Okay. So those two, they kind of acted like you were really bossy at the start, but they weren't really doing much and you were trying to, to have them help out and everything and they're like, "Oh, he's bossy and bossy." And like then like over time, I think like like especially after they left, like you didn't come off as that anymore. But I didn't think you were bossy. I think you were just trying to get them to help and everything because they weren't really doing much, sitting around.
Yeah, and I'm particular with how I request things.
Mhm.
So I'm a Boy Scout,
Okay.
and I remember saying, "Please and thank you
Hmm.
for everything." So I would say, could you do this, please? And then
Hmm.
when somebody would do it, I'd go, "Thank you." I
Hmm.
made specific attention to do that, please and
Hmm.
thank yous all the time. And if you're not used to it, I think that could be annoying to people. If
Uh,
if you're not used to somebody saying please
hmm.
and thank you constantly for any little thing, hand me
Hmm.
this, thank you, please do this, please
Hmm.
that. So it feels like you're in a school setting with a teacher all of a
Yeah,
sudden.
yeah,
And I understand that. And I think that's what may have happened. But
yeah.
unfortunately, Corey was really thin. He's a very thin guy. He did
Hmm.
not have the fat that I had for insulation.
Hmm.
And Timothy, he actually got up to pee at night. Everybody got up to pee at night. I was peeing in my bottle, and Timothy put his entire foot into a puddle. So
Ooh,
his boot was soaking wet,
gross.
and he was freezing cold.
Ooh.
And he just said, "That's it." He went, "Forget it.
Hmm.
I can't do this. My whole foot's wet." And it was cold that night. And those guys, they called it because of
Hmm.
that.
Yeah. And we saw a bunch of people quit real early like that. I just don't think that a lot of them expected what it was going to be like out there, honestly. So,
Yeah. I honestly expected them to have sleeping bags for us the first night. When
yeah.
they did it, I was irritated. I said,
Oh.
"You guys didn't give us sleeping bags?" Oh,
yeah. So yeah, sleeping bags definitely sound like they were a necessity instead of like,
absolutely.
oh, it's a comfort item, like Jill was saying on online and everything. But yeah, was any of the show for you hard to watch back?
Yeah. I've never seen myself get robbed.
Hmm. Oh yeah, yeah.
That that was disturbing.
Hmm.
To have this woman speak to me like that, and I knew the world was watching.
Hmm.
So of course I was a little bit more polite than I would have been had this occurred off camera.
yeah.
But I told her, and I think you only see it
Hmm.
once in the series,
Hmm.
but I told them and I looked at the camera and I said, the whole world is watching.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
can you act like this?
yeah.
And she didn't give a shit.
Didn't
And so
care.
watching it over again, I'm thinking, oh, lady, I told you.
Hmm.
I everything that you're receiving now, all this hate and anger, I was telling you, the world will judge you for your
Yeah,
action.
yeah. The internet
And
doesn't
this
forget.
is insane. Why are you doing this?
Hmm.
And she's just, there are no rules here. And
Hmm.
I'm thinking, oh man, this isn't a fantasy land.
Yeah,
We,
it's real life.
we are, yeah, real life. I'm a real person here.
Hmm.
And she could not see that. So
Hmm.
watching that scene again and knowing, because it went on much longer than what they show you,
Hmm.
knowing the tension and the really the complete
Hmm.
look of shock and horror of the cameramen
Oh,
who were trying to capture it, but also looking like, what the hell is going on? And
yeah.
I'm looking at them like, is anyone going to help me?
Hmm.
Are you just going to capture
Hmm.
it? They just captured it,
Yeah.
but
Uh,
no amount of editing could have hid that.
yeah.
Um, so that was a shocker. So
Uh,
watching that over again is is uncomfortable for me.
yeah.
The Everything else was yeah, it was a joy. I really did love my time out there.
Yeah. Other than that part, you loved your time.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
so
yeah.
there's part of I read an interview that production was involved in. So I guess this is open. So I'm allowed to talk about this, but they said that they were just like shocked by what happened out there. They didn't think it would go that way at all. So they were shocked themselves, like you were saying, that they were like, wow, like I didn't expect it to happen like this. Everything that went down and everything. So
Yeah, I believe them because they were there, and they were just as shocked as we were. So it was new territory, new ground for everybody.
The one of the last things I want to ask you is, so the show, from what I understood, was Outlast. Like, you're supposed to be out there, like, out survive everyone else. But then for that final challenge, they had them go on this long hike to get the money at the end, which was, I thought, was kind of like, it didn't really fit the show. Like, there's a show on MTV called The Challenge, and that's usually what they do. They have a long like foot race and like triathlon to get the stuff at the end, but that didn't seem like it fit this show. Like, what did you think about that? Like,
so I have a personal belief in this. So this is just my like totally personal perspective. I think that the audience doesn't want to watch people slowly starve themselves.
Okay.
To win. That's not entertaining. That would become kind of just really disturbing and dark.
Yeah.
So if you've got two groups out there and they're not interacting with each other, remember, they're on two sides of a river, and by that time it's very cold, and Justin's not going to swim across the river to do anything. He had to hike. He had to hike around.
Yeah.
And Jill and Amber aren't going to swim across the river. So with food supplies limited, and them in a situation where they're just trying to hold out as long as possible, I think they made a decision to try to just push them, nudge them a bit.
Okay.
To try to end this competition.
That makes
Otherwise,
sense.
they would have really, just like the girl who drank so much water that she killed
Oh
herself.
my gosh.
They would have put themselves in situations where it could have been very difficult. Very difficult. One thing that I noticed, and I think true fishermen will know this, is Charlie team, they caught trout in the river. So their trout are delicious and they're healthy fish to eat. And they weren't so big. But Delta, they caught rotting salmon.
Ooh.
So when salmon enter, they go out to sea. When they come back to spawn, they die. They don't go back out to sea. So their bodies start to deteriorate the moment they touch fresh water. So those salmon swam upriver, they spawned, and then they're literally rotting to death. And they change colors. They become a bright pink. That's what the fish that Jill was bragging about catching.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't take any skill to catch those fish. In fact, you could walk into a river and just grab them and pull them up out of the water because they've lost their minds. So I believe Justin was sick because he was eating terrible fish. It may have been alive still, but it's definitely not edible. Humans should not eat dying salmon. So she had what? I think she bragged that she caught 8 or 12 or something, and she was eating that. That's not good. That's not good for your mind. That's not good for your body. So I think prolonged eating of rotting fish like that could have driven people even more insane than they were. So from a health perspective, I think it was definitely necessary to create a challenge and end this show quicker. And any Alaskan will know that those are terrible fish you won't even feed to a dog.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And you were eating mainly mussels, right? Lots of mussels.
Yeah, we were pounding mussels to the point where had it been longer than a month of eating mussels, our bodies could have created an allergic reaction.
Oh.
Because that was pretty much the only thing we were eating.
Jeez.
So me and Brian were, and I did not see the other teams. I was so confused for weeks because every morning we'd get up and go down to the water at the shore, and I'd be collecting mussels for hours. And we would eat, between me and Brian, 2 to 3 pounds a day of mussels. But I didn't see the other teams collecting as much as we were. And sometimes the other teams would come to the river and they'd go, "Hey, Javier, Seth came to me once and tried to talk to me, and I said, no, I don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the zone getting muscles because I knew I want to sleep with a full belly.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see the show and the guys talking about protein, and I could see the look in their face, their emaciated look, and
Mm.
the hunger in their eyes, we weren't hungry. Me and Brian weren't that
Wow.
starving.
Wow.
We actually were eating plenty of mussels.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I would have eaten something else, but we we were okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think the other teams were eating anywhere near as much as we
Mm-hmm.
were in the first 3 weeks.
So, it being freshwater, you didn't have to worry about like red tide or anything like that.
Oh yeah, we did.
Oh, you
So
did. Okay.
yeah, I don't know if you realized the scene. So there's a Tlingit knowledge, native knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
is when the tide is out, the
Mm-hmm.
table's set. That's what it's
Okay.
called. Is because the Tlingit people, or the people of the tides,
Mm-hmm.
they can live in that harsh, what looks like a harsh environment, but really it's just a cornucopia of food. And
Mm-hmm.
most of that food is in the water.
Mm-hmm.
And once that tide goes out, there's so many things that you can eat and survive off of. So there's even more food if it's on the seaside. But we were
Okay.
on fresh water. We were in a
Yeah.
river. So when that tide went out, there was plenty of mussels and gum boots. And what you do, tribal knowledge is you would take the shellfish and you'd kiss it. You put
Mm-hmm.
it next to your lips because the texture of the skin on your lips is very sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was a red tide and there was poison in that shellfish, when you put it to your lips, within about 30 minutes to an hour, your lips and face will go numb.
Really? Wow.
And then you don't
Wow.
eat it.
Wow.
Then you don't eat it. You throw all the shellfish away. So on the first 2 days of collecting mussels, I told Brian, we got to kiss every single one of these mussels.
Mm-hmm.
And we did. We just were hunched over, kissing thousands of mussels.
I think that's part of it that they showed, right? That you talked about that, and someone
Yeah.
didn't listen to you, right? Wasn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
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 I think it was Tim who thought it was a little bit odd that I said that. But
Well, you knew what you were talking about, though. So.
yeah, because if you eat one, if there's a red tide and you ate one, it is one of the most painful ways to die.
Ooh.
Because your body is paralyzed,
Oh,
but you could
wow.
still breathe, and the last thing to go would be your lungs. So you'd lay there paralyzed on the ground and slowly suffocate. It'd be horrible.
Yeah. So they were in on a loan. They were in, I think it was British Columbia, and they, on the second season I was watching, they weren't allowed to eat any of it because it was all infected with red tide. So,
Oh wow.
yeah. So, and you said that earlier. You said that the money, remove the money from the show and everything, that would change how people are. Well, I know in Outlast, people stay around. Oh, not Outlast. Alone, people stay around because it's a $500,000 prize, but at least it's not $1 million, so people won't do like absolute crazy stuff. That's what it feels like. I feel like once it's $1 million, they do crazy stuff. So, I just wanted to ask you if there's anything else that happened on the show, or anything that you want to mention that we didn't get to see, like something that you really want us to know, or anything like that.
Oh, yeah, I really would have liked you guys to see, and I think the other teams have said this too, within their own team context, is the banter between me and Brian.
Okay.
We may have only had 2 people on our team, Bravo, on day 3, but we really rocked it.
Mm-hmm.
We were eating well. The other teams were having all this, I think, teenage drama. And me and Brian were walking around building this huge cabin and really kind of comfy. We were drama free. We were buddies, and I loved trying to introduce him to new foods because Brian he's a boiled vegetable and skinless chicken guy. Super fit,
Yeah.
I think he was on American Ninja Warrior.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, I believe he told me that he
Wow.
once competed on it.
Wow.
So he's a super fit guy for his age, and we had good banter. We would I would try and introduce him to new foods, and when it was the first time that he ate crab, was that Dungeness crab,
Really?
and he was brave enough to eat
Really?
the caviar, which is because I grilled the whole crab upside down, so the juices in the brain area they all go there, and it's a very unique flavor. So I didn't think he'd like it, and he actually ate it and liked it. And I was like, wow, I'm really surprised, Brian, because even people who have a palate for crab don't eat that. So
yeah, I don't think I've ever eaten that part. I had a crab boil recently, but never had that part. So maybe one
delicious.
day. Maybe one day. One day I'll have to.
But yeah, I would have liked you guys to see more of that.
Yeah, I would have definitely loved to see that, and I would have liked to see like more of people's shelters, like a shelter tour. Like they could have just given you the camera and let you give a tour of your like shelter that you built and everything. Because yours looked really cool.
We did have little handycams, and we did some of those shots, but they didn't make it to the final cut.
So that's things. I would like to see like some extra behind the scenes like footage if they ever put that out on there. Maybe Netflix can do like a special, like they can do like a reunion and then like extra behind the scenes footage or something, and that would be really fun to see. So
yeah,
hopefully someday you'll be on another season of the show if they have it, or some other show. And that's about all the questions.
Well, I'm going to take you guys on a bicycle adventure with Brian, I think. On
okay. Yeah. What's your YouTube channel again?
Hungry Guy on a Bicycle.
And that's your Instagram as well. So,
and TikTok.
And I'll link those things in the description of this video and everything so people can find him easily. And he's probably going to be down there in the comments too at some point. So find him around. I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show and giving me this opportunity to talk to me today. I had a wonderful time, and it's really great to get to know you and more about your adventures on the show. It was excellent. So
Thanks so much. This is all new to me too, man.
Yeah. This is my first like podcast ever, so I'm excited. There's one thing I wanted to ask you. It has nothing to do with the show, but I saw you went to Japan recently. How was that?
So my first time to Japan, and it's all part of my planning. So I normally go to a big city and get to know the city, so that when I come back with my bicycle, I could put it together and ride out of the city.
Oh wow!
So I intend to ride all of Japan.
Oh, wow.
This trip was kind of just to get the lay of the land and eat. And the food is great. It really is everything people say it is. I stayed in I first stayed with a couch surfer because Tokyo is very expensive.
Oh, yeah.
So I had 4 nights with him, and then I went one night to a cubicle hotel, a cube hotel.
Oh, yeah, capsule hotel.
Capsule.
Yeah,
capsule
those are
hotel.
cool.
Which is so cool.
Yeah.
It was like a spa. It was $50, and I had that little capsule, but you take off your clothes downstairs, and it's a locker room, and then there's like a sauna there and a hot tub, which is so cool.
Wow.
And then it had a free bar included. So
wow.
I'm not drinking right now. I'm on a detox. But they had whiskey, vodka, gin, wine, sake, and I thought, oh my God, if I was drinking, I would stay in this bar all night. And they even had food included in the price, like noodles and ramen and rice and eggs. And so I went on a tour, lost in translation because not everything is in English. The food was great. And some of the places you would think like sushi is going to be crazy expensive, but no, sushi is more expensive in the U.S.
Oh wow!
It was actually cheaper there.
Wow!
All in all, Tokyo is amazing. I highly recommend it, and you need at least a week, to get a feel of Tokyo.
I had one of my best friends went in 2012, and I could have gone with them, but I didn't go with them, and I regret that ever since. I've always wanted to go. So my girlfriend and we want to go to Japan someday. So that's cool. Do you have any advice for anyone that wants to travel there or anything?
Oh yeah, you know what? So a lot of people are asking me because it does seem I do travel a lot, and people think I'm wealthy, like beyond belief. No, that's not the case at all. You guys know that you've seen my camper. I posted it on my I posted on my Instagram, and I think I posted it on my YouTube. But I live in a camper full time, off the grid with solar panels. No bills at all. So I do save all my money. And when I travel, I just park that in long-term parking or in a storage facility, and that's maybe $120 to park a camper with a garage. That's what I did in Houston.
Is that like a month or
per month?
That's pretty good.
So you pay like
good.
$120 per month to store your camper, or if you guys want to travel longer and you live in an apartment, put all your stuff in a storage facility.
Yes.
Get a little storage
Mm-hmm.
facility, put your shit there, and
Mm-hmm.
then you could start traveling the world. I recommend either hiking or
Mm-hmm.
backpacking or train.
I love
But
hiking, so.
you I used couch
Mm-hmm.
surfing for
Mm-hmm.
years. Couch surfing is a platform where you contact somebody in a country
Mm-hmm.
and they let you stay in a spare room or on their couch or on their floor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 42 now, but I still use these platforms
Mm-hmm.
because these people are cool. They're wonderful. They're going to give you all the insides tips of where to go and what to see. I never do package tours. So that's going to be a waste of money.
Mm-hmm.
So you can travel cheaply. And when I travel by bicycle, I'm literally avoiding all the fees that go
Mm-hmm.
with travel because I'm just eating food and riding my bike into a
Mm-hmm.
country and I see everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get to eat everything, you get to ride your bike, you get to get in shape. It's
Mm-hmm.
just a wonderful experience
Mm-hmm.
to travel by bike. Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Or travel with with hiking or by train and
Mm-hmm.
save a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't cost a lot to travel. Once you leave the US, a lot of countries are incredibly inexpensive.
That's cool.
So
That's cool. Well, that's great advice, and I hope to do more of that. I've only been to the United Kingdom, so that's the only place I've ever been outside the
yeah,
United States. So that was fun. But
it's time to try Thailand, man.
oh yeah, yeah, that's a
You
good
can
one.
find an apartment in Thailand for $150 a month,
Jeez.
and you could get a for a 90-day visa
Mm-hmm.
and just chill, get massage, full body massage,
That's
2 hours,
crazy.
2 hour massage for
Mhm.
$6.
Wow, wow, that's wild.
Incredible.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you again for coming on the show, Javier. It's been awesome to talk to you, and I hope to see more of you on either reality shows or survival shows or anything like that. So, I'll
Great.
thank you so much.